In my past life, he retreated at the last moment. I languished in sorrow for the rest of my days. Reborn, I would not marry him. I entered the palace to thank the Imperial Consort for bestowing the marriage. Main text: the searing agony of arrows piercing flesh still burned in my marrow. I snapped awake to find myself at the palace banquet. Shurche stood clad in black iron armor, his aura colder than the glaciers of the northern frontier. Clutching Li Wan's hand, he advanced step by step, his voice ringing out with icy certainty. The Meng family is of lowly origin, unworthy of occupying the position of the general's legitimate wife. Memories of my past life surged like a tidal wave, reeking of blood and tears. I poured 10 years of my heart and soul into him, lifting him from a lowly kitchen boy in the Meng household to a general of the nation, renowned for his military exploits. My father entrusted me to him on his deathbed. I cleared land for him, gathered provisions, shielded him from poisoned arrows, and kept vigil by his bedside through nights of his grievous wounds. Yet after achieving glory and fame, he colluded with Li Wan, slandering me as a jealous murderer, torturing me until life felt worse than death. I was forced to dance naked over burning coals, starved in an iron cage until I gnawed on wood shavings, stripped and thrown into an icy lake during a blizzard. When my personal maid, Yuzhan, pleaded for mercy, Li Wan ordered her chopped into mincemeat to feed the dogs. Finally, he plotted rebellion and usurped the throne. He chained me to a palace pillar, piercing my heart with arrows. My body was discarded in a mass grave, without even a shroud. Hatred grew like a poisonous vine, coiling tightly around my heart. This time, I would never again grovel as I did in my past life, clinging to the last shred of affection, kneeling and weeping for him to remember our former bond. Before he could finish, I dropped to my knees, my forehead slamming against the cold gold bricks. Having been married into the general's household for 3 years without bearing an heir, I have failed in my duty. Since your excellency's heart belongs to the princess, this humble servant begs for a divorce decree. I shall not hinder your excellency's future. The words fell, and the hall erupted in uproar. The earlier clamor of clinking cups and laughter instantly froze into deathly silence. Countless stares pierced my back like needles. Shurche clearly hadn't anticipated such decisive action from me. The smugness froze on his face, replaced by a flicker of astonishment. Very well. A sharp command suddenly rang out from behind the beaded curtain, carrying an authority that brooked no argument. The Empress Dowager's figure slowly emerged. Her phoenix-like eyes swept across the room, finally settling on me. In her gaze burned a searing hatred, identical to my own. This divorce decree, I approve it. The Empress Dowager declared with force, then turned to Shurche and Li Wan. Draft an imperial decree immediately, appointing Li Wan as the principal consort. She and the general of the nation shall set a date for their marriage. I snapped my head up, meeting the Empress Dowager's gaze head-on. The hatred in her eyes was too intense to be mere impulse, it was a fixation steeped in countless tears and blood. She, too, had been reborn. In my past life, the Empress Dowager had been skinned alive by Shurche for opposing his rebellion, a fate far more gruesome than mine. Shurche's face turned ashen. He tried to speak, but the Empress Dowager's piercing glare silenced him. He glared at me as if he could devour me whole, yet under her overwhelming presence, he dared not act. I rose slowly, straightening my spine. Meeting his venomous gaze, a cold curve lifted at my lips. Shurche, Li Wan, what you owe me, what you owe the Meng family, what you owe the Empress Dowager, this lifetime, I shall reclaim it all, with interest. As the palace banquet dispersed, I had barely stepped out of the grand hall when a eunuch stopped me. Miss Meng, the Empress Dowager requests your presence. I understood immediately and followed the eunuch toward the Sinang Palace. Along the way, Yuzhan trotted up, her eyes reddened. Miss, why did you agree? That Shurche is nothing but an ungrateful, treacherous dog. Why must you indulge him? I patted her hand, my voice calm yet resolute. Yuzhan, from this day forward, I have no connection to him. Henceforth, we live only for ourselves, to avenge the Meng family. Yuzhan froze, staring at the unprecedented resolve in my eyes. She nodded firmly. This servant obeys you, miss. Wherever you go, this servant follows. Upon reaching Sinang Palace, all attendants had already been dismissed. The Empress Dowager sat upon her couch. Seeing me enter, she immediately shed her outer robe, revealing the crisscrossing scars across her waist, horrific marks left by being flayed alive, grotesque enough to make one's hair stand on end. Meng Jihua, the Empress Dowager's voice trembled, yet it was filled with hatred. What Che owes us, what he owes the Meng family, shouldn't we settle the score properly? I raised my hand to touch the old wound on my chest, where Che's arrow had once pierced me. Tears finally spilled down my cheeks, not from sorrow, but from the exhilaration of finding an ally. Empress Dowager, my voice was as cold as frost. Killing Che alone is not enough. The remnants of the Li family, every accomplice, they all must pay with blood for their crimes. A flicker of ruthlessness passed through the Empress Dowager's eyes. She drew a tiger token from her bosom, her fingertips tracing the engraved character Meng. This is your father's keepsake. He hid it and entrusted it to me, fearing it might fall into treacherous hands. Now, it returns to its rightful owner. I took the token. Its chill touched my palm, yet it felt like grasping my father's lingering warmth and the Meng family's hope. In 3 days, Che and Li Wan shall wed, the Empress Dowager said slowly. You shall present them with a generous gift, one they will never forget. Some debts are destined to be repaid from the very beginning. I clenched the token, vengeance igniting in my eyes. This servant understands. Stepping out of Sinang Palace, the night was deep and dark. I looked up at the star-filled sky and silently vowed, Father, Mother, Yushan, and all the Meng family members who died tragically, wait for me. I will avenge you. Upon returning from Sinang Palace, I began preparing the wedding gift for Che and Li Wan. Yushan was puzzled. Miss, why give them a gift when they harmed us so? I picked up the broken sword from the table, the blade my father had once wielded, later snapped and discarded by Che. Carefully wiping the rust from its surface with a cloth, my voice turned icy. This is no gift. It is a declaration of war. From the day of their wedding, I will make them live in fear, constantly haunted by the blood debt they owe. 3 days later, Che and Li Wan's wedding proceeded as scheduled. Scarlet silk filled the air, gongs and drums resounded, and the general's mansion was adorned with lanterns and decorations, a scene of pure celebration. It seemed as though they had completely forgotten the turmoil at the palace banquet 3 days prior, forgotten me, the former mistress who had been cast aside. I had the broken sword wrapped in blood-stained brocade and attached a note bearing only 4 characters, blood for blood. The servant who delivered the gift returned with news. Upon seeing the broken blade and note, Che's face turned deathly pale. He smashed his wine cup on the spot. Li Wan, terrified beyond words, cried out to discard the gift, but Che stopped her. Miss, you should have seen it, the entire general's residence was thrown into chaos. A perfectly good wedding turned into a scene of panic, the servant recounted vividly. A cold smile touched my lips. This was only the beginning. The pain they inflicted upon me in my past life, I would repay them 1,000-fold. Before long, the Empress Dowager's edict arrived. She summoned me to the palace immediately, claiming urgent matters required discussion. Stepping back into Sinang Palace, the Empress Dowager dismissed all attendants once more. Her gaze fixed on me as she cut straight to the point. Jihua, Che's power now runs deep. For you and I alone to topple him would be as difficult as scaling the heavens. You need a powerful ally. A thought stirred within me. What does your majesty suggest? The 17th prince, Zhao Huajin, the Empress Dowager said slowly. He is the late emperor's youngest son, titled Prince Ding. Though blind since childhood, he possesses extraordinary intelligence, excels in strategy and esoteric arts, and stands as the only force in court capable of countering Che. Moreover, he and your father were close friends despite their age difference. When your father campaigned against Beiliang, it was largely thanks to his covert assistance. Zhao Huajin? I had heard that name. Rumor had it he lived in seclusion, disengaged from politics, spending his days with stones, a reclusive blind prince. Empress Dowager, I hesitated. Marrying a blind prince, especially for revenge, could such a union endure? I know what troubles you, the Empress Dowager read my thoughts. But this is the best option for now. Though blind, Zhao Huijin possesses great wisdom. He will not mistreat you. Moreover, with him by your side, Che will not dare to harm you. Once we bring down Che, if you wish to leave, I will never stand in your way. Seeing the earnest trust in the Empress Dowager's eyes, and recalling my tragic death in my previous life and the Meng family's blood feud, I clenched my teeth. Very well. I agree. A relieved smile spread across the Empress Dowager's face. Excellent! Tomorrow I shall issue the decree betrothing you to Zhao Huijin. The wedding must be held swiftly, lest delays invite complications and allow Shurche to interfere. I nodded, my heart a tangled knot of emotions. In this life, my marriage would have nothing to do with love, only vengeance and survival. Returning to the Meng family's old residence, I began packing my belongings. The mansion lay in utter ruin, weeds choking the courtyard, cobwebs thick on the rafters. The memorial tablets for my father and mother stood lonely in the main hall, dust-covered and forgotten. Kneeling before the tablets, I bowed 3 times with a thud. Father, mother, your daughter has failed to uphold the Meng name. But I swear to you both, I will avenge you. Shurche and Li Wan shall pay for their crimes with their blood. Now I married Prince Ding, Zhao Huijin, to find a powerful ally and hasten my quest for vengeance. May your spirits watch over me and grant me success. Yu Zhan stood silently weeping beside me, helping gather my simple belongings and the military treatises my father had left behind. Miss, will Prince Ding truly treat you well? Yu Zhan asked anxiously. I clasped her hand and whispered, I don't know. But I know I have no way back. Whether the path ahead is a sea of fire or a mountain of blades, I must walk it. The next day, the Empress Dowager's imperial decree granting the marriage was formally issued. The entire capital was shaken. No one had anticipated that the daughter of the Meng family, discarded by the general of the nation, would be betrothed by the Empress Dowager to the esteemed Prince Ding. Upon hearing the news, Shurche sent a letter. Its words were earnest, claiming he had always loved me, that divorcing me had been an act of necessity, and pleading for me to reconsider and break off my engagement to Zhao Huijin. After reading it, I tossed the letter straight into the brazier. Love? Was his love meant to torment me to death? Such love I could neither bear nor care to have. The wedding was set for the dead of night 3 days later. The Empress Dowager explained that a late-night ceremony would draw less attention and prevent Shurche from causing trouble. On the night of the wedding, Zhao Huijin's procession arrived discreetly at the old Meng residence. He sat in a simple palanquin, clad in a moon-white brocade robe, his posture erect. Though blind, he exuded a calm, reserved demeanor. Supported by his attendants, he stepped from the palanquin and gave a slight nod in my direction. Miss Meng, I apologize for keeping you waiting. His voice was as smooth as jade, like mountain spring water, instilling an inexplicable sense of calm. I curtsied, Your Highness, you are too kind. Without elaborate formalities, witnessed only by a few former Meng family retainers and imperial relatives, our wedding was completed simply and hastily. After being escorted to the bridal chamber, only the 2 of us remained in the room. Candlelight flickered, casting a hazy glow over the space. I stood by the bed, somewhat at a loss. After all, we had never met before, yet now we were husband and wife. Zhao Huijin seemed to sense my awkwardness and spoke softly, Miss Meng, there's no need to be so formal. I understand the Empress Dowager's intentions. Though this is a political marriage, I will never force you to do anything. Until you have completed your revenge, the Prince Ding's mansion will be your safe haven. His words warmed my heart. I lifted my gaze to meet his, though he couldn't see it, and replied earnestly, Your Highness, thank you. Should you ever need me, Meng Zhihua, I will walk through fire and water without hesitation. A faint smile touched his lips. Very well. The night is late. Miss Meng, please retire to rest. I shall make do in the study next door. With that, he turned and left the bridal chamber, supported by his attendants. Watching his departing figure, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Perhaps this arranged marriage wasn't as dreadful as I had imagined. On the first day after the wedding, I awoke at the first light of dawn. Stepping out of the bridal chamber, the courtyard was quiet. The Prince Ding's residence wasn't lavish, even somewhat simple, yet it was kept clean and tidy. Several wax plum trees were in full bloom, their subtle fragrance wafting through the air, dispelling the winter chill. Walking along the stone path, I spotted the light in the study from afar. Zhao Huijin must have already risen. I hesitated briefly before stepping toward it. Pushing open the slightly ajar door, a faint scent of ink and mineral essence wafted toward me. Zhao Huijin sat at his desk, his fingertips tracing several stones of varying hues with intense focus. Sunlight streamed through the window lattice, casting a warm glow upon him and outlining his handsome profile. Though blind, his composure and wisdom were impossible to overlook. "Your Highness," I called softly. Hearing my voice, he paused his movements and turned his head slightly. "Miss Meng has awakened? Did you sleep well last night?" "Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I slept very well." I stepped closer, my gaze falling on the stones on the table. "Do you enjoy collecting stones, Your Highness?" "I suppose so." He smiled, picking up a grayish-white stone. "These stones may seem ordinary, but they hold infinite mysteries. Take this one, for instance, it's a saltpeter ore. When it encounters water, it freezes." He picked up a yellow ore. "This is sulfur, highly flammable. Combined with charcoal in specific proportions, the three create something immensely powerful." My heart skipped a beat. "Your Highness means gunpowder?" In my past life, when father waged war against Beiliang, he had desperately sought the formula for gunpowder but never succeeded. If Zhao Huijin truly mastered its creation, it would undoubtedly be a tremendous boon to our quest for vengeance. Zhao Huijin nodded. "Precisely. When your father attacked Beiliang's stronghold back then, had gunpowder been available, so many soldiers wouldn't have perished. Alas, the formula I developed back then was still too immature to offer timely aid." A hint of regret tinged his tone, further confirming to me that his friendship with my father was no mere pretense. "Your Highness," I said solemnly, "with gunpowder to aid us, overthrowing Shurche and achieving vengeance becomes a real possibility." Zhao Huijin turned his head. Though I couldn't see him, I sensed his gaze fixed upon me. "Miss Meng, the path of vengeance is fraught with peril. Shurche commands vast armies and numerous followers, he cannot be toppled easily. Moreover, gunpowder possesses immense destructive power. Its use will inevitably bring untold suffering." "Are you truly certain of this?" "I have," I declared without hesitation. "In my past life, Shurche slaughtered my entire Meng family, tortured me beyond endurance, and brutally flayed the Empress Dowager alive. Such blood feuds demand vengeance. I will pay any price for retribution." My voice trembled slightly, thick with long-suppressed hatred. Zhao Huijin fell silent for a moment before speaking slowly. "Very well. Since your resolve is firm, I shall lend you my support. I will write down the gunpowder formula for you, but its application must be approached with utmost caution." He paused, adding, "Furthermore, though you come from a family of martial generals and trained in combat since childhood, years without rigorous practice have likely dulled your skills. To slay Shurche with your own hands, you must reclaim your martial prowess." I agreed wholeheartedly. "Your Highness speaks wisely. That is precisely my intention." From that day forward, I began a relentless, daily regimen of training. Before dawn each day, I would arrive at the martial arts field within the royal estate, gripping the bone-splitter sword my father had left behind, practicing spear and sword techniques. At first, my stamina failed me, and my movements felt rusty. I could train for only a short while before gasping for breath, my arms aching unbearably. But whenever I recalled the humiliation and hatred of my past life, remembered the brutal deaths of my father and mother, and envisioned the horrifying sight of Jade Cup hacked to pieces, I gritted my teeth and persevered. Zhao Huijin often visited the training ground. Though blind, he could always pinpoint the flaws in my techniques with precision. "Your sword strikes too hastily, dispersing your power," he remarked calmly from his wheelchair. "The sword is the blade of the heart. Only with unwavering focus and concentrated strength can you strike true with a single blow." Under his guidance, my martial arts progressed at an astonishing pace. Gradually, I wielded the bone-splitting sword with fluency, my spear techniques grew sharper and more precise, and my stamina returned to peak condition. In his spare time, Zhao Huijin taught me to identify ores and explained the principles and ratios of gunpowder production. His explanations were clear and accessible, allowing even someone like me, who knew nothing about alchemy, to gradually grasp the essentials. Yu Zhan watched my advancing martial skills and focused expression, genuinely delighted for me. "Miss, you're growing more formidable by the day. You will surely slay Shurche with your own hands and avenge the Meng family." I set down my sword, wiped the sweat from my brow, and a flicker of resolve passed through my eyes. I will. This time together had given me a new perspective on Zhao Huijin. Though blind, he was erudite and meticulous, always gentle and courteous. He never looked down on me as a discarded wife nor made any demands of me because of our arranged marriage. Between us, there was no moonlit romance, but a deep mutual understanding and trust forged in battle. I knew this bond would become the strongest pillar supporting my path to vengeance. As for Shi, he had gone quiet after learning of my marriage to Zhao Huijin. Perhaps he feared the Prince of Ding's influence, or perhaps he was plotting some scheme in secret. But I paid it no mind. My focus now was solely on growing stronger, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I believe that day is not far off. Days slipped by in the relentless grind of martial training and gunpowder research, and before I knew it, a month had passed. My spear and sword skills had returned to their peak, even surpassing my former self. The gunpowder formula Zhao Huijin entrusted to me was now ingrained in my memory, and I had successfully crafted several small gunpowder projectiles with astonishing power. One day, while practicing my spear technique on the training grounds, I suddenly heard a commotion outside the mansion. Yuzhan rushed in, her expression grave. "Miss, envoys from the palace have arrived. The Empress Dowager requests you and His Highness come to the palace immediately for urgent matters." My heart stirred. Something significant must have occurred. Zhao Huijin and I rode together to the palace. Upon arriving at Sinaying Palace, the Empress Dowager paced restlessly, her face dark with worry. "What has happened, Your Majesty?" I asked as I approached. The Empress Dowager halted, turned to us, and declared in a grave tone, "Li Wan's pregnancy before marriage has been exposed. Furthermore, after investigating, this Empress Dowager discovered she is not a princess at all, but merely a concubine's daughter from the Li family, a forged identity created to curry favor with Shi." This news filled me with both shock and delight. Shock that Li Wan dared to be so audacious as to forge a princess's identity, delight because this was undoubtedly the perfect opportunity to bring down Shi and Li Wan. "How does the Empress Dowager intend to handle this?" asked Zhao Huijin. "Humph." The Empress Dowager snorted coldly, a flash of ruthlessness in her eyes. "Falsifying imperial lineage, bearing a child out of wedlock, these are crimes against morality. By law, they warrant execution. But Shi commands a powerful army. If I were to execute Li Wan outright, he would surely become desperate and resort to rebellion." "Then what is Your Majesty's decision?" I asked. "Death may be spared, but punishment must follow," the Empress Dowager declared. "I have issued an edict. Li Wan shall kneel in Yongshou Palace for 10 full hours to reflect on her actions. As for Shi, for condoning his fiancée's identity fraud and disregarding propriety, he shall be demoted to Deputy General as punishment. Though not the harshest penalty, this punishment would utterly destroy Shi and Li Wan's reputation and severely weaken their influence." "Your Majesty is wise," I said. "This punishes them without pushing Shi to rebellion, buying us valuable time." The Empress Dowager nodded. "Xihua speaks wisely. Yet Shi harbors great ambition and will not rest easy. We must prepare swiftly." Just then, a eunuch burst in breathlessly, "Your Majesty, it's terrible. Northern Liang refugees have suddenly invaded our border, pillaging and burning. The border villagers are suffering terribly. Several generals have petitioned the emperor to dispatch reinforcements immediately." A Northern Liang invasion? My heart sank. In my previous life, Northern Liang had also invaded the border. It was Shi who volunteered to lead the campaign, achieving remarkable military glory. That was how he regained the emperor's trust and further expanded his influence. Was history repeating itself in this life? Where is Shi? Has he petitioned to lead the campaign? The Empress Dowager asked. "Your Majesty, the general of the nation." "No, Deputy General Shi has already submitted his petition," the eunuch replied. "He states he is willing to personally lead the troops into battle, quell the Northern Liang rebellion, and alleviate Your Majesty's burdens." Just as I suspected. Shi intends to seize military control once more through this campaign, plotting his comeback. He must not succeed. I blurted out. "Your Majesty, Shi harbors wolfish ambitions. If he regains command of the army, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Empress Dowager's expression grew grave. I know this well. But who else in the court, besides Shirche, could shoulder such a heavy responsibility? All eyes turned to me. I drew a deep breath, stepped forward, and knelt. Your Majesty, this humble daughter volunteers to lead the campaign and quell the Northern Liang Rebellion. You? The Empress Dowager seemed taken aback. Xihua, military campaigns are no trivial matter. Though you come from a family of generals, you are still a woman. Moreover, you have never commanded troops in battle. Empress Dowager, though I am a woman, I have studied military strategy since childhood under my father's tutelage and trained rigorously in martial arts. I am no less capable than any man. I declared resolutely. Moreover, Shirche has long colluded with Beiliang. In my previous life, he relied on Beiliang's forces to stage his rebellion. This time, I will not only quell the Beiliang uprising but also expose Shirche's treasonous crimes and bring him to justice. Zhao Huijin stepped forward to vouch for me. Your Majesty, Miss Meng possesses exceptional martial prowess and strategic acumen. Her familiarity with Beiliang's terrain and military intelligence makes her perfectly suited for the role of Commander-in-Chief. I volunteered to accompany her, offering counsel and support throughout the campaign. The Empress Dowager pondered for a moment, a resolute gleam flashing in her eyes. Very well. This Empress Dowager shall trust you once. Issue the decree, appoint Meng Xihua as Grand General of the State, Commander-in-Chief, to lead the expeditionary force. Appoint Shirche as Deputy General, to serve under Meng Xihua's command. Appoint Zhao Huijin as military strategist, to assist Meng Xihua. We thank your Majesty. Zhao Huijin and I knelt together in gratitude. Stepping out of the Sinaying Palace, the sunlight was blinding. I knew this campaign was not merely to quell the border unrest, but also to seek vengeance. Success or failure hinged on this very moment. Returning to the Prince Ding's residence, I immediately began preparing for the expedition. Zhao Huijin busied himself refining the gunpowder formula and crafting more explosive shells. News of this appointment sent shockwaves through the capital. No one anticipated the Empress Dowager would appoint a woman as Commander-in-Chief to lead the army. Some voiced doubts, others mocked, yet many rallied behind me. Upon learning of my campaign, former members of the Meng family rushed to join my ranks. Most were my father's former subordinates or their descendants, fiercely loyal to the Meng lineage. General, we vow to follow you into battle. We will subdue Beiliang and avenge General Meng. A white-haired veteran knelt before me, his voice choked with emotion. General, we've long despised that ingrate Shirche. Whatever you command, we shall obey. Surveying the familiar yet unfamiliar faces before me, my heart swelled with mixed emotions. My father's legacy of prestige had become my greatest asset. Uncles and brothers, I said, helping the old general to his feet, my voice choked with emotion, thank you for your trust. Rest assured, I, Meng Xihua, will not betray your expectations. I will subdue Beiliang, slay Shirche, avenge the Meng family, and bring peace to the borderlands. On the day of departure, banners fluttered beneath the city gates amid the clamor of gongs and drums. Clad in silver armor, sword in hand, I sat astride a mighty steed, radiating heroic vigor. Zhao Huijin accompanied me from a specially crafted carriage. Shirche was present too, clad in his deputy commander's armor. His face darkened as he stared at me, his eyes brimming with venom and resentment. He rode up before me, his tone sharp, Meng Xihua, you dare lead as Commander-in-Chief? I'll see how you subdue the Northern Liang Rebellion. I gave a cold laugh, meeting his gaze directly. Shirche, you do well to remember your place. I am now the Commander-in-Chief, and you are the Deputy Commander. You must obey my orders in all matters. If you dare to defy authority or disobey military orders, don't blame me for enforcing military discipline. His expression changed, and he tried to say something, but my piercing gaze forced him back. Just then, his gaze fell upon Zhao Huijin inside the carriage. A sneer curled his lips. So you're relying on a blind strategist for support. Meng Xihua, do you truly believe this will lead to victory? Utterly delusional. Insolent! I roared, raising my hand to deliver a sharp slap across his face. A sharp crack echoed as Shirche's head jerked to the side, a trickle of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Zhao Huajin is His Royal Highness Prince Ding, my husband, and your superior. My voice boomed across the battlefield. You dare insult His Highness and commit insubordination? By military law, you deserve execution. But considering you still have some use, I shall spare your life today. Should you utter another word of nonsense, your head will roll without mercy. Witnessing this, the entire army dismounted and knelt in unison. General, you are mighty. We swear to follow you to the death. Shurche clutched his cheek, his face alternating between green and white, yet he dared not utter another word. He knew that the person before him was no longer the Meng Zhihua he could manipulate at will. I pulled tight on the reins and bellowed, "Advance." The vast army marched resolutely toward the frontier. Sunlight glinted off the armor, reflecting dazzling brilliance. I knew a fierce battle was imminent, yet I felt no fear. For behind me stood soldiers who trusted me, allies who fought shoulder to shoulder, and the unquenchable fire of vengeance burning within my heart. Marching northward day and night, the army finally reached the Beiliang border after half a month. From afar, the border town lay in utter ruin, houses burned, fields trampled, and displaced citizens wailing in despair. Witnessing this heartbreaking scene, every soldier seethed with righteous indignation, yearning to charge immediately at the North Liang rebels. I ordered the army to encamp outside the city, resting and awaiting further orders. Soon after, I went with Zhao Huijin and Shurche to the command tent to discuss the battle plan. Inside the tent, the atmosphere was heavy. Shurche stood silently to the side, his face dark, clearly displeased with having to follow my commands. Generals, I said gravely, studying the map, intelligence reports indicate the invading Beiliang rebels number about 50,000, led by the former crown prince, Nunu Hari. They have seized 3 cities, pillaging and burning, committing every conceivable atrocity. Our immediate priority is to retake these cities swiftly and rescue the people. An elderly general stepped forward. General, the northern Liang rebels are advancing fiercely and know the terrain well. Our troops have traveled far and are exhausted. It would be unwise to launch an immediate attack. Perhaps we should rest and regroup for a few days before deciding our next move. I nodded. The old general speaks wisely. Yet we cannot sit idly by. Shurche, I turned to him, take 10,000 men to guard the eastern gorge, preventing the rebels' escape eastward. Shurche paused, clearly surprised to receive my first order. After a moment's hesitation, he reluctantly acknowledged, "Your servant obeys." Zhao Huijin, I turned to Zhao Huijin, I entrust you with reinforcing the camp defenses and fortifying our positions to guard against rebel ambushes. Understood. Zhao Huijin nodded. After the deployments were finalized, the others withdrew. Only Zhao Huijin and I remained in the tent. Zhihua, Zhao Huijin murmured, Shurche harbors resentment. Assigning him sole command may lead to trouble. I know, I replied. But I intend to test him deliberately. In my past life, I always suspected he was merely ungrateful, only vaguely learning of his collusion with Beiliang near death. This time, I will personally verify that suspicion. Zhao Huijin fell silent for a moment. How do you plan to do that? I've already sent trusted confidants disguised as refugees to infiltrate the cities occupied by the rebels and gather intelligence, I said. Hopefully, we'll get something worthwhile. Over the next few days, the army rested while gathering intelligence. I toured the encampments daily, comforting the soldiers and boosting morale. Shurche remained stationed in the eastern gorge, holding his position as expected. He sent no scouts to probe the rebels nor contacted our main camp. All signs pointed to his suspicious behavior. Late on the third night, my trusted envoy finally returned. His body was covered in wounds, his face etched with exhaustion and anxiety. General, it's terrible. The envoy knelt before me, gasping for breath. I infiltrated the rebel camp and overheard a conversation between Shurche and Nunu Hari, the former crown prince of Beiliang. My heart sank instantly. What did they say? Shurche has colluded with Nunu Hali. The aide's voice trembled. He betrayed the great Jin long ago. Back then, it was he who leaked General Meng's battle plans, allowing Beiliang to regroup and return. This Beiliang invasion was also his doing. He promised Nunu Hali that if he helped seize the great Jin throne, he would cede 3 border cities to Beiliang. Boom! This news struck me like a bolt from the blue, sending a chill through my entire body. Though I had long suspected it, hearing this truth with my own ears made it impossible to suppress the raging fury within me. Che! You treacherous dog! The Meng family treated you well, and father regarded you as his own son. Yet you betrayed not only me, but our nation itself, colluding with foreign enemies. What else? I forced my rage down and demanded. Che also said he would set fire to our military camp in the dead of night 3 days from now, creating chaos. Nunu Hari would then lead his forces to attack, coordinating an inside-out assault to wipe us all out. The confidant continued. Upon learning this, I fled for my life, pursued by men Che sent along the way. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug deep into my palms, drawing blood. Good. Very good. I ground out through clenched teeth. Che, Nunu Hari, since you wish to destroy me, I shall give you a surprise. I immediately dispatched men to summon Zhao Huajin. Upon arriving and hearing my account, Zhao Huajin's expression darkened. I never imagined Che would actually betray the country and collude with the enemy. It seems we must prepare in advance. Exactly, I said. They want to burn the camp? We'll turn their plan against them. Zhao Huajin, how many graphene tents do you have left? Enough to equip the entire camp, Zhao Huajin replied. Excellent! A flash of ruthlessness crossed my eyes. Issue orders immediately to replace every tent in the camp with graphene fireproof tents. Additionally, have the soldiers prepare for battle and lie in ambush around the encampment. When Che sets the fires and the rebels attack, we strike with a surprise assault, catching them off guard. And one more thing, I added. Have the gunpowder unit accelerate production of explosive shells, the more, the better. This time, I'll make the Bailiang rebels and Che pay a terrible price. Understood. Zhao Huajin nodded and immediately went to make arrangements. Staring at the map, my eyes blazed with fury. Che, Nunu Hari, your time is up. 3 days later, deep into the night. The camp lay in utter silence. Soldiers lay in ambush, ready to spring the trap as soon as the rebels entered the net. Zhao Huajin and I stood atop the lookout tower of the central command tent, scanning the distant horizon. Before long, a flash of fire erupted from the eastern gorge. Immediately, thick smoke billowed skyward. They're here! I whispered. Soon, countless dark figures charged toward the camp, the northern Liang rebels. Believing the camp was ablaze, their morale shattered. They howled, desperate to seize the opportunity and overrun the encampment. Che rode behind the rebels, a smug grin on his face. He was certain this time I would die. But when they reached the campfront and saw it untouched, with only the graphene tents reflecting faint flickers of light, they all froze. What's going on? Where's the fire? Nunu Hali asked in confusion. At that moment, I bellowed the order, fire. The prepositioned gunpowder shells ignited instantly, firing toward the rebel camp. Boom! 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 Ear-splitting explosions reverberated. The rebel camp erupted in chaos, flesh and blood scattered, screams piercing the air. Immediately, soldiers ambushed around the camp burst forth, charging like tigers descending a mountain, unstoppable. Caught completely off guard, the rebels were routed, scattering in all directions. Seeing this, Che's face drained of color as he turned to flee. Che, where do you think you're going? I roared, leaping onto my horse. Wielding the bone-splitting sword, I gave chase. Hooves trampled the devastated ground as I fixed my gaze on Che's fleeing back, my heart boiling with hatred. The bone-splitting sword traced a cold gleam through the night. I urged my warhorse onward, speed increasing relentlessly. The wind whistled past my ears. Behind me, the battle cries of soldiers echoed. Before me stood only the man I had hated for 2 lifetimes. Meng Jihua, don't push me too far. Che, sensing my pursuit, turned and roared, his voice tinged with panic. I sneered coldly, swinging my sword to point directly at his back. Pushing too far? When you betrayed the Meng family, colluded with foreign enemies, and committed treason, did you ever consider this day? The sword's glint flashed as Che spun hastily to block. Clang! The blades collided, sparks flying. The impact numbed his arm, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. I bear no grudge against you. Why must you seek my death? Shurche roared, struggling to defend. No grudge? My rage twisted into a bitter laugh as my sword grew fiercer. You slaughtered my entire Meng family. You tortured me until death seemed preferable. You flayed the Empress Dowager alive. And you dare claim no grudge? Each strike channeled the hatred of my 2 lifetimes, every blow targeted his vital points. Shurche's strength waned, his defenses faltering as fresh wounds marked his body. General! We're here to help. Several former Meng family soldiers, witnessing our fierce battle, spurred their horses toward us. No need! I shouted. He is my enemy. I will kill him with my own hands. Hearing this, the soldiers stepped back, forming a circle to prevent Shurche from escaping. Seeing the murderous intent in my eyes, Shurche knew escape was impossible today. A flicker of madness crossed his gaze. Meng Jihua, if I must die, you won't live to see tomorrow. Suddenly, he turned his horse not to flee, but to charge straight at me, his sword swinging with a fury that screamed mutual destruction. Undaunted, I spurred my horse forward to meet him. Horses clashed, swords collided once more. This time, I didn't block. Instead, I sidestepped his blade's edge while thrusting my bone-splitter sword forward. It pierced his shoulder with deadly precision. Ah! Shurche let out a piercing scream as blood gushed forth. I yanked my sword free and swung it back, slicing clean through his horse's leg. The war horse crashed to the ground, flinging Shurche off. I dismounted and strode toward him, my sword dripping blood. Shurche struggled to rise, but I pinned his chest with my foot, immobilizing him. Meng Jihua, if you kill me, the Beiliang rebels won't spare you. Shurche gasped, his words laced with threat. Do you think the Northern Liang rebels can stir up any trouble without you? I sneered coldly, then turned to order the soldiers behind me, send out the command. Pursue the Northern Liang rebels with all force and annihilate them completely. Nu Hari, I want him alive. Yes, sir. The soldiers responded in unison and immediately led their troops in pursuit. Inside the main tent, only Shurche and I remained. The flickering candlelight cast shadows across his deathly pale, contorted face. What do you want? Shurche stared at me, his eyes filled with terror. What do I want? I crouched down, my long sword pressed against his throat. I want you to taste the suffering I endured in my past life. I slowly raised the sword, yet did not strike him down immediately. I would let him die in terror and despair. Just then, footsteps sounded outside the tent. Yuzhan entered carrying a bundle, her expression complex as she looked at me. Miss, the Empress Dowager sent someone with a package. I opened the bundle. Inside was a human skin, fashioned into the shape of a drum. The face on the skin was vaguely recognizable, it was Li Wan. Beside it lay a letter from the Empress Dowager. It stated that upon learning of Shurche's defeat, Li Wan had attempted to flee but was captured by the Empress Dowager's men. True to our prior agreement, the Empress Dowager had Li Wan flayed alive, fashioning this beauty drum as a gift of vengeance to me. Gazing at this drum, the hatred pent up within me for years finally found release. I picked up the drumstick and tapped it lightly. The sound was deep and eerie, like Li Wan's own wails of agony. Shurche's face turned ashen as paper the moment he saw the drum. His entire body trembled. You all deserve this. I said coldly. Li Wan forged her identity, aided tyranny, and killed Yuzhan. Her fate was her own choice. As for you, Shurche, you betrayed your country and your benefactor. Your end will be far more miserable than hers. I raised the drumstick and struck the human skin drum with brutal force. Thud. 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 The deafening drum beats seemed to echo the suffering and hatred we had endured. Shurche stared at me, his eyes filled with utter despair. He knew all hope was lost. Meng Jihua, I was wrong. He suddenly began to sob, his voice hoarse. I shouldn't have betrayed you, shouldn't have betrayed the Meng family, shouldn't have colluded with Beiliang. I beg you, spare my life. In the next life, I'll serve you and the Meng family as ox or horse to repay your kindness. Next life? I sneered coldly, thrusting my sword forward with brutal force, piercing his throat. "You don't deserve a next life." Blood gushed forth, splattering my armor. Churchay's eyes widened as he collapsed to the ground, his life completely extinguished. I withdrew the blade, gazing at his corpse. My heart held no pity, only the exhilaration and emptiness of vengeance fulfilled. 2 lifetimes of hatred were finally settled in this moment. Father, mother, Yuzhan, the Empress Dowager, and all who died so tragically, I have avenged you at last. I rose and stepped out of the tent. Outside, dawn was breaking. Sunlight spread across the land, dispelling the gloom of night. Zhao Huijin stood nearby, watching me silently. Though he couldn't see, I sensed his eyes filled with worry and heartache. "Is it over?" he asked softly. I nodded, my voice hoarse. "It's over." He stepped forward and gently took my hand. His palm was warm and firm, gradually filling the emptiness within me. "You've been through so much," he said. I looked at him, a glint of tears in my eyes. Without his companionship and support along this journey, I might have given up long ago. "Thank you," I murmured. Just then, the soldiers pursuing the rebels brought triumphant news. The Bailiang rebels had been utterly annihilated, and Nunu Hali had been captured alive. My heart leapt with joy, and I immediately ordered, "Bring Nunu Hali forward." Soon, Nunu Hali, bound and gagged, was paraded before us. Tall and bearded, his eyes blazed with defiance and fury. "Meng Jihua, dare you kill me? My Bailiang army will avenge me." Nunu Hali roared. "Revenge?" I sneered coldly. "Your northern Liang forces invaded our great Jin, pillaging and burning, slaughtering our people. That debt remains unpaid. Not only will I kill you, but I will lead my army northward to utterly subdue northern Liang. You shall pay a bitter price for your crimes." I ordered Nunu Hali imprisoned to await his sentence. In the days that followed, I led my troops to recapture 3 cities occupied by the northern Liang rebels, freeing the trapped citizens. The people lined the streets to welcome us, their gratitude overflowing. I remained stationed at the border for 3 months, purging the remnants of the northern Liang forces, pacifying the populace, and restoring military discipline. Zhao Huijin busied himself formulating post-war reconstruction plans to aid the border residents in resuming their livelihoods. 3 months later, peace finally returned to the frontier. I ordered the army to march back to the capital. The Grand Army marched majestically toward the capital. Along the way, people burned incense and knelt in reverence, bidding us farewell. Seated atop my sturdy steed, I looked at Zhao Huijin beside me, my heart filled with mixed emotions. The goal of vengeance had been achieved, yet I knew this was not the end, but a new beginning. The story between Zhao Huijin and me had only just begun. The returning army stretched for dozens of miles, banners fluttering and drums beating loudly. People spontaneously lined both sides of the road, cheering and welcoming us with waves of applause. "General Meng is mighty. His Royal Highness Prince Ding is wise." Yet amidst these cheers, my heart held little joy, only a calm that came after the dust had settled. When the army reached the capital's gates, the Empress Dowager had already gathered the civil and military officials to await us. Spotting Zhao Huijin and me, a look of deep satisfaction spread across her face as she hurried forward. "Jihua, Huijin, you have worked tirelessly." The Empress Dowager grasped my hand, her eyes brimming with tears of emotion. "Not only have you quelled the Northern Liang rebellion, but you have also executed Churchay, that traitor, ridding the great Jin of a great scourge. On behalf of His Majesty and all the people of the realm, I thank you." "Your Majesty overstates the case," I bowed respectfully. "This is merely my duty as a subject." Zhao Huijin followed suit. "Your Majesty need not be so formal. It is my honor to serve the nation." Thereafter, the Empress Dowager ordered a grand banquet to celebrate the victory, hosting all the soldiers who had gone to war. At the banquet, officials from both the civil and military branches raised their cups to me and Zhao Huijin, praising our achievements. The emperor personally bestowed wine upon me, conferring the title General who protects the nation, and showered me with vast quantities of gold, silver, jewels, and land. I thanked each gift in turn, though these rewards held little significance to me. For me, the greatest reward was avenging the Meng family, seeing the nation at peace, and the people living in contentment. After the banquet, Zhao Huijin and I returned to the Prince Ding's residence. The mansion had been meticulously cleaned and decorated with lanterns and festive ornaments, radiating a joyous atmosphere. Back in my chamber, I shed my heavy armor and slipped into light robes. Months of continuous warfare had left me utterly exhausted, both physically and mentally. Zhao Huijin sat nearby, listening to my weary breathing. "Tired?" he murmured softly. "I had hot water prepared for you. Take a good soak and rest." I nodded, a warmth spreading through me. "Thank you, Huijin." These past days, he had stayed by my side, offering counsel and tending to my daily needs. Though he couldn't see, he always provided the most thoughtful care when I needed it most. After the bath, my weariness eased considerably. Returning to the room, I found Zhao Huijin seated at the table, holding a stone in his hand, seemingly deep in thought. "What are you thinking about?" I walked over and sat beside him. "The border situation," he said. "Though the northern Liang rebels have been subdued, their roots remain. If we don't resolve this completely, they may rise again in the future." I nodded. "You're right. However, after this battle, northern Liang has been severely weakened. They shouldn't dare invade again anytime soon. We should use this opportunity to strengthen border defenses, reorganize our troops, and prepare for a northern campaign in the future." Zhao Huijin nodded. "That's my thinking too. Also, though Shi is dead, his followers remain. We must purge these elements swiftly to prevent them from stirring up trouble in secret and threatening the court's security." "Rest assured," I replied, "the Empress Dowager has ordered a thorough investigation into Shi's followers. Not a single one will be spared." Zhao Huijin smiled. "With the Empress Dowager and you in charge, I feel at ease." We talked for a long time about border defenses, the court's situation, and future plans. Before we knew it, night had fallen. "It's late. You should get some rest," I said. "You've worked hard these past days." Zhao Huijin nodded and rose to return to his study. "Huijin," I called after him, "thank you. Without you, I doubt I could have endured this journey." He turned, a gentle smile lighting his face. "We are husband and wife. Supporting each other is our duty. Besides, fighting alongside you has been my honor." Watching his tender smile, my heartbeat quickened inexplicably. This time together had kindled a different kind of feeling within me. It had nothing to do with vengeance or gain, only pure admiration and dependence. I knew I might have fallen in love with him. But I dared not speak it aloud. I feared it was merely my own wishful thinking. I feared that once spoken, it would shatter the existing understanding and balance between us. Zhao Huijin seemed to sense my unease and asked softly, "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I quickly lowered my head, hiding my flustered state. "I just feel. Meeting you has been my good fortune." He stepped closer, gently lifting my chin. Though I couldn't see him, his gaze felt like it pierced the darkness, reaching straight into my heart. "Jihua," his voice was gentle yet firm, "I know hatred has long tormented your heart. But now, that hatred is settled. You should let go of the past and live fully for yourself." He paused, then added, "I hope, in the days to come, I can walk beside you, to see every mountain and river together, to guard our homeland together." My eyes instantly welled up. So he had known my feelings all along, and he felt the same way about me. "Huijin," I lifted my head, tears filling my eyes as I looked at him. "I will." He pulled me into a tight embrace, his arms wrapping around me with such force it felt like he wanted to press me into his very bones. "Thank you, Jihua," he whispered softly in my ear, his voice slightly choked with emotion. In that moment, all hatred and pain vanished like smoke, leaving only profound happiness and peace. I knew that from this moment onward, a new chapter would unfold in my life. I was no longer Meng Jihua, living solely for vengeance. I was now Zhao Huijin's wife, the great Jin's female general who safeguarded the nation. The road ahead was long, and storms might still come, but I no longer feared them. For I knew that whatever hardships we faced, Zhao Huijin would stand by my side, fighting alongside me. Together, we would protect this nation and safeguard our happiness. Days slipped by quietly amidst calm and busyness. Together with Zhao Huijin, I assisted the Empress Dowager in purging Shurche's faction and restoring order to the court. Officials who had once aligned with Shurche were either dismissed from office or exiled to the frontier, ushering in a fresh atmosphere within the court. Border defenses progressed methodically. We fortified the walls, trained the troops, and established trade ports along the frontier, fostering commercial growth. As anticipated, the northern Liang kingdom was severely weakened and dared not invade lightly again. In our leisure hours, I would accompany Zhao Huijin on walks in the countryside, or play chess and read books within the mansion. Though blind, his chess skills were extraordinary, and I was often utterly defeated by him. Our bond grew ever deeper. He remembered all my preferences, brewed me a cup of hot tea when I was weary, and comforted me in his unique way when I was downhearted. And I, in turn, patiently described the scenery outside the window for him, read poetry and historical texts aloud. Though we couldn't share the beauty of the world together like ordinary couples, our hearts were tightly bound. Yet, the peaceful days did not last long. Rumors about me began circulating throughout the capital. Some claimed my face bore ugly scars from battle, others accused me of being ruthless, even skinning women alive, a veritable demon-faced Yama. Others claimed my marriage to Zhao Huijin was purely political, devoid of any genuine affection. These rumors spread like a virus throughout the capital. When Yuzhan heard them, she was furious and wanted to confront those spreading the slander, but I stopped her. "Miss, they've gone too far. How dare they slander you like this?" Yuzhan protested indignantly. I smiled faintly. Why stoop to their level? An upright person fears no shadow. Let them talk if they wish. Though I said this, hearing the rumors still left a bitter taste in my mouth. It was true that a faint scar remained on my face from battle. Though barely noticeable, under their deliberate exaggeration, it became proof of unsightly ugliness. Zhao Huijin seemed to sense my low spirits. One day, he pulled me into the garden of the mansion. "Xihua," he murmured softly, "I know the rumors in the capital have troubled you." I nodded silently. "But in my heart, you will always be the most beautiful," he said, reaching out to gently trace the scar on my face. His touch was so tender, as if afraid of causing me pain. "This scar is not a symbol of ugliness, but a badge of your courage and honor. It bears witness to the sacrifices and contributions you made for the nation and its people, to your resolve and bravery in avenging the Meng family." His words flowed like a warm current, instantly spreading through my entire body. I looked at him, my eyes brimming with tears. "Huijin, thank you." "Silly girl," he smiled, "we're husband and wife. If I don't cherish you, who will?" He gently pulled me into his embrace. "Those who spread rumors are merely jealous of you, jealous of your talent, your achievements, everything you possess. You needn't care about their opinions. In my heart, you are the one and only Meng Xihua, the sole love of my life." Feeling his warm embrace and hearing his sincere words, the gloom in my heart instantly vanished. Indeed, why should I care about the opinions of those who matter little? I have Zhao Huijin's love, the Empress Dowager's trust, the support of our soldiers, and the affection of the people. That is enough. "Huijin," I lifted my head, meeting his gaze with unwavering resolve. "I've made up my mind. Once the court affairs are fully stabilized and the borders are completely secure, we'll petition the emperor to resign our posts. We'll find a place of serene mountains and clear waters to live in seclusion, just the two of us." A flicker of delight crossed Zhao Huijin's eyes. "You truly wish this?" "Yes," I nodded. "I've grown weary of the scheming in the court, weary of endless wars. I only want to live a peaceful, stable life with you, to see the beauty of the land, and to spend the rest of our days in tranquility." "Agreed." Zhao Huijin embraced me tightly. "I'll follow your lead. Once this is all over, we'll head to Jiangnan. Its clear waters and lush mountains offer serene landscapes, far from the capital's clamor and strife, the perfect retreat for us." Snuggled on the garden bench, we envisioned our future together. Warm sunlight bathed us in comfort. Just then, a eunuch hurried into the mansion, announcing the Empress Dowager summoned us to the palace immediately. Our hearts sank, unsure what had transpired. Arriving at Sinang Palace, we found the Empress Dowager seated on her couch, her expression grave. "What has happened, Your Majesty?" I asked. The Empress Dowager looked at us solemnly. News has arrived from Beiliang. Nunu Hali has taken his own life in prison. His son has succeeded him and vowed vengeance, gathering vast forces and stirring with restless intent. This news instantly weighed heavily upon our hearts. It seemed the border's peace remained but temporary. Your Majesty, how do you intend to respond? Zhao Huajin inquired. I have already ordered the reinforcement of border defenses and close monitoring of Beiliang's movements, the Empress Dowager stated, but this is not a lasting solution. To completely resolve the threat from Beiliang, we must take the initiative and subdue them once and for all. She looked at me. Zhihua, I wish for you to once again take command and lead the campaign to pacify Beiliang. Without a moment's hesitation, I replied, your servant is willing to go. Zhao Huijin added, Empress Dowager, I too shall accompany Zhihua to assist her in subduing Beiliang. The Empress Dowager nodded, a look of satisfaction spreading across her face. Excellent! With both of you, I can rest assured. This campaign must utterly subdue Beiliang, eliminating all future threats. Your servant obeys. Zhao Huijin and I knelt together in gratitude. Stepping out of the Sinaying Palace, I looked at Zhao Huijin, my eyes filled with resolve. Huijin, this time, we must completely subdue Beiliang and ensure the people along the border live in peace forever. Zhao Huijin nodded, yes. Once Beiliang is subdued, we will immediately resign our posts and retire to seclusion, never again meddling in court affairs. Upon returning to the Prince Ding's residence, we immediately began preparations for the campaign. This time, victory was imperative. When the soldiers learned I would once again lead the expedition, they eagerly volunteered, their morale soaring. They all believed that under my command, we would surely defeat Beiliang once more and return in triumph. On the day of departure, the citizens of the capital gathered once more beneath the city gates to see us off. Waving banners in their hands, they chanted General Meng is mighty. And Prince Ding is wise. Their eyes brimmed with trust and anticipation. Mounted on my tall steed, I held the bone-splitting sword in my hand, with the vast army marching behind me. Zhao Huijin sat in the carriage beside me. The sight before me stirred profound emotion within me. This time, I marched not only for the nation and its people, but also for the future I envisioned with Zhao Huijin. I pulled back the reins and bellowed, advance. The army pressed forward once more toward the northern Liang border. Sunlight danced upon the gleaming armor, casting dazzling reflections. I knew this would be my final campaign. Once Beiliang was pacified, I would lay down my armor and live the secluded life Zhao Huijin and I longed for. The road ahead was long, yet I was filled with confidence. For I knew that no matter what hardships we faced, Zhao Huijin would stand by my side, fighting alongside me. Our love and our convictions would sustain us, helping us overcome every obstacle and reach the shores of victory. The army marched forth once more. This time, our objective was to utterly subdue Beiliang, eliminating the threat forever. Unlike the previous hasty campaign, this expedition was meticulously prepared. Provisions were abundant, weapons were superior, and the soldiers' morale was high. Coupled with Zhao Huijin's improved gunpowder shells, our firepower was formidable. As we marched northward, mountains and rivers unfolded before our eyes. Riding beside Zhao Huijin, I felt a profound sense of security. With him by my side, no danger could intimidate me. Upon reaching the Beiliang border, the new king, Nunu Hali's son, already stood ready with his army in battle formation. Young and impetuous, he burned with vengeance for his father, launching an exceptionally fierce assault. But this time, we were prepared. I ordered our army to camp along the border, facing off against the Beiliang forces. Zhao Huijin, using his strategic acumen, analyzed the Beiliang army's formations and weaknesses, devising a detailed battle plan. Though the Beiliang army is numerous, their discipline is lax, and their supply lines are stretched thin, Zhao Huijin sat in his carriage, his fingers tapping lightly on the tabletop. They are impatient for victory. We can exploit this by luring them deep into our territory and then crushing them all at once. I nodded. Good. We can feign weakness, making them believe we are easy prey. Then we'll set an ambush in the gorge. Once they enter the trap, we launch our final assault. Indeed, Zhao Huijin concurred. Additionally, we can dispatch a small detachment to flank the northern Liang army's rear and sever their supply lines. Deprived of provisions, they will collapse without a fight. An excellent strategy. I immediately ordered our forces to execute Zhao Huijin's plan. Over the next few days, we deliberately held our ground without engaging, letting the Beiliang army taunt and insult us outside our camp. Though our soldiers seethed with anger, they obeyed my orders and remained still. The new Beiliang king fell for the ruse, convinced we were cowed, and grew even more eager to attack. He ordered his army to assault the city with full force, aiming to wipe us out in one decisive blow. Just as the northern Liang forces entered the ambush zone we had prepared in the gorge, I bellowed the command, "Fire!" The prepositioned gunpowder shells ignited instantly, unleashing a hail of fire toward the northern Liang army. Boom! 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 The deafening explosions sent shockwaves through their ranks. Chaos erupted in their formation, cries of agony filling the air. Immediately, soldiers ambushed on both sides of the gorge surged forth like tigers descending a mountain, unstoppable. Caught completely off guard, the northern Liang army was routed, fleeing in all directions. Simultaneously, the detachment that had flanked around to the rear of the northern Liang army reported success, having severed their supply lines. The new king of Beiliang turned ashen-faced at the sight. He attempted to lead his forces in a breakout, but I blocked his path with my troops. New king of Beiliang, surrender now. I sat astride my horse, my bone-splitter sword pointed directly at his throat. In your dreams. The new king of Beiliang roared, swinging his scimitar as he charged toward me. Undaunted, I spurred my horse forward to meet him. Our steeds clashed, blades collided, sparks flying everywhere. Though the new king of Beiliang was a skilled fighter, he was still a notch below me. After several exchanges, he began to tire, his body racked with fresh wounds. Seizing an opening, I thrust my bone-splitter sword forward, piercing his chest. Ah! The new king of Beiliang let out an agonized scream, collapsing to the ground, his life completely extinguished. Seeing their commander slain and their supplies cut off, the Beiliang army lost all will to fight. They dropped their weapons one after another, surrendering and begging for mercy. I ordered the prisoners to be treated well and held under guard. Then, I led the army northward to capture Beiliang's capital. Along the way, we advanced like a knife through butter, unstoppable. Beiliang's cities fell one after another, their people either surrendering or fleeing. Half a month later, we finally reached Beiliang's capital. The capital was heavily fortified, its walls towering and sturdy. Yet under our overwhelming assault, even these defenses proved insufficient. Zhao Huijin ordered the deployment of explosive shells against the city gates. Boom! 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 After several deafening explosions, the massive gates crashed down. I led my troops into the city, engaging in fierce combat with the remnants of the northern Liang forces. After a day and night of intense fighting, we finally secured complete control of the northern Liang capital, quelling the northern Liang rebellion. Members of the northern Liang royal family were captured alive, and their territory was incorporated into the Great Jin Empire. Standing atop the city gate of the northern Liang capital, gazing down at the city below, my heart swelled with emotion. Spanning 2 lifetimes, I had not only avenged the Meng family but also rid the nation of a great scourge, ensuring the people along the border would forever live in peace. Jihua, we've succeeded. Zhao Huijin approached me, a satisfied smile lighting his face. I nodded, a glimmer of tears in my eyes. Yes, we succeeded. We remained stationed in the capital of Beiliang for a month, reassuring the people, restoring order, appointing officials, and establishing governance. Once everything stabilized, we ordered the army to return to the capital. This time, the people's cheers were even more fervent. They spontaneously gathered in the streets to see us off, thanking us for bringing them peace and tranquility. The army marched southward, its pace much slower than on the journey north. Along the way, Zhao Huijin and I admired the scenic beauty of the mountains and rivers, savoring the serenity and goodness that peace brought. Huajin, I murmured, leaning against his shoulder, once we return to the capital, we shall petition the emperor to resign our posts and retire to seclusion in Jiangnan. Agreed, Zhao Huajin clasped my hand tightly. I'll follow your lead. Spring in Jiangnan, peach blossoms in full bloom, emerald rivers, must be breathtaking. We can build a cottage by the lake, plant all the flowers and plants you love, and spend our days fishing, reading, and strolling, living a peaceful, stable life. Closing my eyes, I envisioned that life, my heart brimming with longing. Upon our return to the capital, we received an unprecedented welcome. The emperor personally led all civil and military officials to greet us at the city gates, hosting a grand banquet in our honor. At the feast, the emperor once again bestowed upon us vast quantities of gold, silver, jewels, and land, intending to confer upon me the title of Princess Protector of the Nation and upon Zhao Huijin that of Regent Prince. But we both politely declined. Your Majesty, I rose and bowed respectfully, your humble servant and His Royal Highness Prince Ding only wish to live peaceful, stable lives. Now that Bailiang has been pacified, the nation is at peace, and the people live in contentment. Our mission is complete. We earnestly request your Majesty's gracious permission to resign our posts and retire to Jiangnan. Zhao Huijin also rose, Your Majesty, this servant likewise humbly requests your gracious permission. The emperor gazed at us, his eyes filled with reluctance. You are both pillars of the state. To retire now would be a great loss. Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager interjected, this humble servant believes Xihua and Huajin have already given so much to the nation. Their desire to live their own lives is only natural. This humble servant earnestly begs your Majesty's gracious approval. Persuaded by the Empress Dowager, the Emperor finally nodded. Very well. I shall grant your request. Though you retire, the court shall never forget your merits. Should you encounter any difficulties in the future, you may return to the capital at any time. The court will stand by you. Thank you, Your Majesty. Zhao Huajin and I knelt in unison to express our gratitude. After the celebratory banquet, we returned to the Prince Ding's residence to pack our belongings, preparing to journey to Jiangnan. Yuzhan accompanied us. She had long since regarded Zhao Huajin and me as family. The day we departed the capital was bathed in bright sunshine. The Empress Dowager, the Emperor, and all the civil and military officials came to see us off. Xihua, Huijin, take good care of yourselves on your journey. The Empress Dowager clasped our hands, her eyes brimming with reluctance. Take care, Your Majesty. Take care, Your Majesty. Take care, everyone. We bid farewell with deep reluctance. The carriage slowly rolled out of the capital, heading toward Jiangnan. I lifted the curtain for one last look at the city that had witnessed all my loves and hates. My heart held no lingering attachment, only anticipation for what lay ahead. Zhao Huijin took my hand and whispered, Farewell, capital. Farewell, past. I nodded, leaning against his shoulder, a blissful smile spreading across my face. Yes, farewell, past. From this day forward, I would live a peaceful, stable life with my beloved amidst the serene landscapes of Jiangnan. No longer would I concern myself with court affairs, nor be tormented by hatred. The days ahead would be filled with sunshine and warmth. The carriage journeyed southward, heading toward Jiangnan. The scenery along the way grew increasingly beautiful, green mountains and clear waters, birdsong and floral fragrance. Far from the clamor and strife of the capital, it brought an extraordinary sense of ease to the heart. Zhao Huijin and I often stepped out to stroll, admiring the scenic views. Though he could not see, I patiently described the flowers, grasses, and trees by the roadside, the distant mountains and rivers. He always listened intently, a gentle smile on his face. Yuzhan was also delighted, chattering away like a happy little bird throughout the journey. She was filled with curiosity about Jiangnan, asking endless questions. After over a month of travel, we finally arrived in Jiangnan. Jiangnan truly lived up to its reputation. Spring here was a vision of poetic beauty, peach blossoms in full bloom, emerald rivers, black-roofed boats gliding slowly across the water, and boatmen singing melodious fishing songs. We bought a small cottage by the lake. Though modest in size, it was exquisitely crafted. The courtyard was filled with flowers, plants, and trees, and opening the window revealed a stunning view of the lake. After settling in, Zhao Huijin and I began the secluded life we'd longed for. Each morning, we'd stroll together by the lake, breathing in the fresh air and savoring nature's tranquility and beauty. Though Zhao Huijin couldn't see, he perceived everything around him through sound and scent. He'd tell me the willows by the lake had sprouted buds, the peach blossoms had bloomed, and birds were singing. In the mornings, I would read, practice calligraphy, or tend to the flowers and plants in the courtyard. Zhao Huijin would arrange his collection of stones or study his esoteric arts. Occasionally, we would play chess together. Though I always lost, I found great joy in the game. At noon, we cooked together. Though blind, Zhao Huijin is an excellent cook. He can precisely distinguish the flavors of various ingredients and prepare delicious dishes. We chat while cooking, enjoying each other's company. In the afternoon, we sit in the pavilion by the lake, brew a pot of clear tea, listen to the lake lapping against the shore, talk about the past, and plan for the future. Sometimes, we'd say nothing at all, simply nestling close together in silence, savoring this rare tranquility and happiness. At dusk, as the sun sank below the horizon, the evening glow painted the sky and lake surface crimson. We'd sit together by the lake, watching the sunset slowly fade, feeling the quiet peace of time passing. Yu Zhan also found her own happiness. She met a young local fisherman, and the two, drawn together by mutual affection, soon married. The fisherman was honest and kind, treating Yu Zhan with great care. Seeing her happiness, I felt genuine joy for her. In her free time, Yu Zhan would bring her husband to visit us, bringing fresh fish and shrimp. We would eat together, chat, and feel like family. Life flowed on in quiet contentment. Gone were the intrigues of the Imperial Court and the bloodshed of war, only love and peace filled our days. The scar on my face gradually faded under the humid climate of Jiangnan and Zhao Huijin's tender care, becoming less noticeable. But I didn't mind, for this scar was a symbol of my courage and honor, a testament to my love with Zhao Huijin. Zhao Huijin would still often trace my scar with his fingers, whispering softly, "Zhihua, you are truly beautiful." Each time I heard his words, my face would flush and my heart would race, my soul brimming with happiness. One day, as we sat in a pavilion by the lake, gazing at the lotus flowers on the water, Zhao Huijin suddenly said, "Zhihua, I want to write a poem for you." "Oh, I'd love that," I replied with a smile. "I can't wait to hear it." He closed his eyes, pondered for a moment, then slowly began, "How lovely is the south of the Yangtze, a landscape I once knew well. At dawn, the river flowers blaze redder than fire, in spring, the river water turns green as indigo. Of Jiangnan I remember, most of all I remember Hangzhou. Seeking cassia seeds in the mountain temple moonlight, watching the tide crest from the county pavilion's pillow. When shall we revisit? Of Jiangnan I remember, next I remember Wu Palace. A cup of Wu wine, spring bamboo leaves, Wu maidens dancing in pairs, drunken lotus blossoms. When shall we meet again?" His voice was warm and gentle as jade, carrying the softness and poetry of Jiangnan. I listened quietly, my heart filled with emotion. "So beautifully written," I murmured, leaning against his shoulder. "Huajin, it's wonderful having you by my side." He held me tightly. "Zhihua, meeting you is the greatest fortune of my life." The setting sun bathed us in warmth and contentment. Lotus blossoms stood gracefully on the lake, emitting a faint, delicate fragrance. I knew this was the life I desired. No hatred, no strife, only love and tranquility. Looking back, the pain and resentment of my past life seemed like a distant memory from another lifetime. Reborn, I not only avenged the Meng family but also found the love of my life, living a happy and fulfilling existence. I am grateful to fate for granting me a second chance. I am grateful to the Empress Dowager for providing the means and support for my vengeance. I am grateful to Zhao Huijin, who has always stood by my side, offering love and warmth. The road ahead stretches long, yet I walk it with confidence. I believe that amidst the picturesque landscapes of Jiangnan, Zhao Huijin and I will continue to live happily together, forever. This time around, I did not repeat past mistakes, nor was I consumed by hatred. I chose to let go of the past and embrace the future, ultimately finding happiness that was truly mine. The sunset gradually faded, and night enveloped the land. Cuddled close to Zhao Huijin, we gazed at the star-filled sky, our hearts filled with peace and contentment. For the rest of my life, with him by my side, every day will be a sunny one.